Simulation theory, the idea that the world around us, that the universe we inhabit, we're actually just part of a simulation and reality as we know it is completely different. Well, this is one of the weirdest and wildest ideas that I've encountered. In this video, I'm not going to explain simulation theory as much as share that it gave me two interesting insights about entrepreneurship. So this video is what simulation theory taught me about entrepreneurship. If you've never heard of simulation theory, I'll give a really brief primer on it. Nick Bostrom is a philosopher, and he's the one who shared this idea in a paper where he posited we might be living in a simulation. And his evidence, his grounding for this argument, was that it's something that smart life forms do. Advanced, higher order life forms, they run simulations for all types of different purposes. We do. We have video games that provide a simulated environment where we, as a character in that game, are now inhabiting an environment that is mimicking reality to our understanding. Scientists do this as well. If they're running experiments on animals or in petri dishes, what they're doing is running simulations to get learning or insights about something. So one of these for entertainment, one of them for understanding, but it's just something we know that happens. Higher order life forms run simulations. Now, we tend to think that we're the center of everything. We have this anthropomorphic view of the universe. It's quite possible that we are not the higher order life form in this universe that we inhabit. That there's some civilization that is smarter and older and more wise and further along than we are. Well, and if we make simulations, they might make simulations too. And Nick Bostrom's argument is that we might just be inhabiting the simulation from one of these older civilizations. They might be just running this to see how it goes. Again, maybe for their entertainment, maybe to get knowledge and understanding, but either way, what we think we're inhabiting, our reality, it may just be that we are characters in a game that they're running for whatever reason they want to run it. And because we see this pattern, it's a non-zero chance that we are inhabiting a simulation. He also goes on to say that, well, human beings, we run lots of simulations. So scientists might be running 10 experiments at once. Or if you play video games, you play hundreds and thousands of sessions, game sessions in your life. That means that there's more of those than there are base reality. So statistically, there's a high likelihood that that's just what we are. We are just in a simulation. So it's a weird and wild idea. It's pretty thrilling. It's interesting to think about. Trying to make order of our universe is, I think, a good use of our time. So it's fun to think about. And interestingly, this theory has caught the ear of a lot of really smart people. Elon Musk is actually an adherent of this particular way of seeing the world.
So given that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality, and those games could be played on any set-top box or on a PC or whatever, and there would probably be, billions of such, computers or set-top boxes, it would seem to follow that the odds that we're in base reality is 1 in billions.
So
tell me what's wrong with that argument.
Is the answer yes?
The argument is probably.
So at this point, I'm going to take us away from simulation theory, at least understanding it and our relationship to reality, and trying to extract from it what can it teach us about entrepreneurship. The first thing is about how simulation theory says that you learn through observation. By running these experiments and then learning what's going on, you can generate understanding. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, we forget to do this. We need to observe our surroundings and our environment. Specifically, we need to observe our competitors. Whatever they are doing, wherever they are in the process, whether they're well ahead of us, whether they're well behind us, decisions they make, choices they have on their landing pages, product design learning that we might be able to get by reverse engineering their products, seeing how they market what they do, or just the directions that are going in, we can get insight and value from this. And we must remind ourselves that instead of just being heads down, staring at our product and our customers, it's useful to take your head up, look at your customers, look at your competitors, and see what can you glean from their actions and their activities. So observing is an important part of simulation theory, and also something that we as entrepreneurs should remember to do. The next thing is that simulation theory kind of knocked my socks off the first time I encountered it. This is a very weird way of seeing the world. And it was a reminder of just how weird the world can be. And that it's quite probable that our understanding of the world, well, what the truth that we arrive at is going to be strange and unpredictable. Because if it's predictable, we might have already figured it out by now. As entrepreneurs, we must remember to be open to weird and wild approaches to running our businesses. I like to think of Airbnb. At the time, this was an incredibly weird idea. The idea that a human being would pay money to go stay in a stranger's house, to sleep in their bed. Up to this point, we thought this problem had been solved. It's called hotels. That's the answer to this particular problem. But turns out there was a ready market for this. And there were advantages to it. It was cheaper, and at times it had something more special, something more interesting than hotel type experience. That was a crazy idea. And the stories of Airbnb in the early days are all over the place, of them getting rejected by investors saying, oh, this is crazy, no one would ever do this sort of thing. Well, now Airbnb is a massively thriving business. It's taken over the world, and it's a way that human beings, well, it's a really foundational part of the travel experience for so many people. The reason they were able to pull it off is they kept themselves open to this weird, wild idea. Simulation theory requires that same sort of open-mindedness, that same notion that the world might be much stranger than we think. Truth might be much stranger than we think, and we need to be open to that. Big corporations, they're not going to try this stuff. This is why entrepreneurs and startups are what drives so much innovation, is that they're open to trying weird and wild ideas, just like the founders of Airbnb did at the beginning. So, I'll drop some links to more resources on simulation theory in the description if y'all want to check it out. Just remember this, simulation theory gives us two very interesting ways of thinking about entrepreneurship. One, the power of observing experiments and simulations and what we can learn from them, what we can learn what's going on around us, and being open to wild ideas, being open to strange, new, different ways of thinking about the world. And in so doing, we can find opportunities that are interesting and compelling, and can help make us be better entrepreneurs. And by being better entrepreneurs, we make things that people want, spread more joy, solve more problems, make more people happy in this world. So this was a fun video to make, really fun to think about the connections between these two things that don't automatically go together. And I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.